Greetings, adult collectors. I am Crash the Customizer. Welcome to another custom Transformer showcase. This is my custom Junkion combiner, Trashmaster. Before we take a look at the figure, we're going to take a look at the background here, which is a junkyard. So, I added these little Lego crates to have some various pieces in it. I have these little Lego tires here, and then you can see I have some little train cars that came from a Thomas the Tank Engine. And then I have this little Junkion tire right there. Just some various other pieces, some other things. Like this, I believe this was from a Christmas Village thing. And then just kind of some random Lego pieces and things. Basically look like a junkyard. So now back to the figure. So this is honestly a figure I didn't do a lot of painting on. Simply because I already pretty much liked what it looked like. I just kind of want to add a few details. So I painted this section here, and then I painted these little spikes on his head to kind of match the spikes up here. Because really a majority of what I did with this figure was more so just adding pieces and rearranging the parts already on him. So of course I added the typical posable fingers. I try to add to almost all of my figures. So you can actually post his fingers, post his thumb. And of course, since he's a Junkion and he watches a lot of TV, just because I want to, go ahead and put him in the classic Spider-Man pose here. Looks like he's ready to shoot some webs because Junkions like to watch TV. And really the big thing I did here was I just rearranged this whole back section here, and then I honestly like to personally put these that go back here actually on his shoulders, because I don't like, pun not intended, all the junk back here. Because like I didn't really like when you bring his legs back and that was just all right there. That didn't work for me. But majority of what you'll see is basically things for the actual vehicle mode, which we'll get into in a minute. But this is honestly a figure I really do actually like, and like I said, I didn't really see the need to actually paint anything really, at least not as much as I do with a lot of my figures, because this is honestly a really good figure. And yes, I do know that they are planning to retool this into animated Retgar, and honestly that's one I'm not really as bothered as I was with Heatwave, because for one, this is actually a mold I do like, despite the bulkhead mold, which I didn't really like very much. And this figure is actually not a bad figure to retool into a Retgar, besides a few things that aren't quite right with the detail. I mean, I really do wish they would stop retooling figures for actual like classic lines like animated or, again, like the rescue bots. But if they're going to retool, this would definitely be a good figure to retool into Retgar. So I'm not saying I'm against it, but I just feel like they really should have be actually retooling figures. They need to actually be making new molds, but you know. But and one thing I would like to say, this figure, if they're going to do the retool route, this would be a perfect figure to retool into a bulkhead or something. Like animated bulkhead would actually be a perfect retool if they're going to retool this. If they're going to go that route, that would be almost ideal. I mean, they already almost practically got the head, and just the vehicle mode could kind of work if that's the route they want to go. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into the vehicle mode. So first thing we need to do is remove this section here, and then remove this whole back section here, just like that. Now we're basically left with the robot here. So go ahead and peg his legs together and flip up his feet. And we need to take his arms and untab them here. And they will just tab right into the mirror section here. So go ahead and bring his arms and they'll tab into here just like this. Just kind of line that section up so it tabs in like that. And then rotate his hands so they basically are facing this way. Then we go ahead and push in his head, and then this section will come up over his head, bring the arms back, and then they will tab together. So just get things lined up properly. There we go. Then we go ahead and take these sections here, bring them up, so it allows clearance to rotate the waist around, bring down his legs, and we need to untab this section from the chest here. So it allows to kind of bring his legs back and then tab into his arms. Then we take this section, bring it up, and then take these and go ahead and combine them so they're one piece, and then it'll peg into here. And then there are tabs right here and then tabs up in here that this will tab into, lock into place. And then these will tab into this little section right in there on the leg. And as you can see, I added these little smokestacks from one of the other Junkions. I just kind of thought it added a kind of cooler look. So we go ahead and bring in this part, which will of course become the head of the combined mode. And I did actually add little eyes and this little eyebrow thing to kind of give it that more menacing look. For now, I was going to take it and it will peg on by these little round studs and these square tiles. And the reason I added that was whenever I added the posable hands, these little pegs won't peg in there anymore and actually hold it in place. So I had to do what I had to do. So we go ahead. First thing I need to do is bring his fingers in a little bit. So not a complete close fist, but just enough to kind of get this where it needs to be. Like I said, this little peg right in, peg it in there, and there we have Trashmaster in his vehicle mode. I honestly really like the design of this vehicle mode because you have your classic garbage truck design. Then you kind of have this kind of apocalyptic design kind of going on with these chains and then these spikes and then like the windshields. And I think that's really kind of cool. As far as the actual custom parts, what I actually did in the vehicle mode was basically tried to give it a more modern day garbage truck design, which is adding this section here. Now, these here originally went where these little smokestacks are. And what I pretty much did was I made this little Lego assembly here. I just attached these two together and then create this little Lego assembly, this little peg here, and then this little piece here with this little claws, and then it basically pegs onto this section here. And then you can see there's also a little Lego clip in there. And the reason I added this to kind of basically more kind of modernize it, because your modern day garbage truck will tend to have these little claws that'll come out and basically pick up the trash cans. So we have a little Lego trash can here. Just basically will clip into this section here to hold it in place. And now he can pick up the trash can, bring it around, and then actually dump it into basically the mouth of the combined mode. Go ahead and just rotate this section around here. And now he can dump the trash into the back of his garbage truck. And then bring the claw back down, and then he can actually set the trash can back onto the ground. And I thought it was kind of cool because that's what a lot of garbage trucks tend to have these days. I thought it was kind of cool to actually add that, and then it just all collapses back up just like that. And there we go. So now we'll go ahead and get into the combined mode. So first we need to do is remove this section here. Go ahead and set this off to the side here. We need to remove these smokestacks. And then we'll go ahead and stick these smokestacks onto this to kind of almost give him these cool looking horns for the actual combined mode head. So it kind of just looks like that. Now he's got this almost like kind of like bull horns or something. It's kind of cool. And then we need to untab this front section here. I'm going ahead and remove these. And then untab these. And then go ahead and untab his legs from his arms here. And go ahead and pull this legs off. So then we're left with that. So then basically take this section here and we'll go ahead and tab this in like we were to put it back into robot mode. And then just kind of lay this section over there like that. Bring what remains of the legs up like this. Bring these sections down. Go ahead and take the combined mode head and it'll peg right into here. And then I like to take these and just kind of keep them combined like this. And then just kind of stick them up top here. Just like that. And then now we need to bring in the secondary piece. And for this, I'm bringing in a standard piece for Junkions, but this one here is from Road Pig. And this basically pegs into the wheels, just like this. Make sure I have it the same way here. Let's see. So go ahead and peg these into the wheels, and then this section will peg into this section right here. Do that on the other side. And there we have Trashmaster in his torso mode. As you can see, it's basically going to be kind of like a Revenge of the Fallen Devastator design, of just kind of being this like creature thing. And honestly, that kind of fits for a Junkion, honestly. And a lot of my inspiration for this combined mode, I did actually inspire a little bit on what Prime versus Prime did, but I'm kind of adding my own little spin on it and just kind of basically putting him in just a little bit of a different pose where it looks like he's basically, just like I said, just kind of a Revenge of the Fallen Devastator type of design. And it's going to look really cool when it's actually fully combined. So now I'll go ahead and get him back into his vehicle mode so that we could actually get him back into robot mode. So now I got him back into his vehicle mode. I'll go ahead and get him back into robot mode. First thing we need to do is we need to untab the front section here. And then I'll go ahead and bring these sections here to the side, just like this. There we go. Untab his legs from his arms. Go ahead and tab this section here in. Go ahead and rotate his entire waist section here, bring it around. Need to remove this section here. Put it off to the side. Go ahead and untab his arms here. And bring these down, and his arms will tap into the mirror. Tap them in. Untab the section from the front here. Rotate his arms around so that the bicep is facing this way. Rotate his hands around. And go ahead and bring down his feet. Untab his legs. Bring this section down. Then bring up his head. Kind of open up his hands here. And then take this section here. And what this will basically do is just peg into this section right here. And now you kind of see why I like to take these off, because you see this kind of sticks back here like this, and then when you try to bring up his legs, you have all this back here. I don't really like that. That's why personally I like to just take the actual front section off and then basically just stick it on his shoulders here. So then it kind of does give him this really cool kind of shoulder pads with the wheels here. And for me personally, I think that looks better, but to each their own. I mean, that's just said what I personally think actually looks better. Just kind of leaving it like that. And there we have Trashmaster back into his robot mode. And this is honestly probably one of the coolest figures I have, just because I just like the design of this, and then the fact that you can actually deassemble all of the Junkions to basically make pretty much any kind of combiner you want. And that's honestly a cool gimmick. So I'm really looking forward to actually getting all of the Junkions and actually combining them and making basically what I'm calling Junk Monster, because it'll basically be this really crazy looking monster basically made of trash, basically made of Junkions. So if you like this video and want to see all of the other Junkions and the combined form, be sure to check out the description where you'll find a link that will take you to this playlist for all the future Junkions. There'll also be a link that will take you to my stop motion channel, which is currently just some random stop motions, but I'm hoping to at some point have a stop motion series. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any future customs. Until next time, this is Crash the Customizer, out. Oops, smashed another trash can. I guess it's back to anger management.